Hello to all of you moms out there. This is episode 22 of the Solve for Mom podcast, the show where you learn about simple, systematic, and science-style plans so that you can thrive as a mom without taking time away from your family. I'm your host, Anoki Kapasi. Have you ever felt like you're torn between being the mom your kids need and then chasing your dreams that make you, you? Today, you are in for a real treat. We're tackling that million-dollar question. How do I balance my ambitions with my role as a mom? If that's been your struggle, I have some good news for you. You don't have to choose. You can actually pursue your passions and continue being the amazing mom that you are. I'm going to show you how to put yourself back into the seat as the CEO of your life. I want you to really lean into that. No, you don't have to go to business school to think like a CEO. Instead of letting life happen to you, let's redefine what is possible. You are going to design a life that feels as good to you as it looks on paper. By the end of the episode, you'll walk away with actionable strategies to align your passions with your vision using life planning tools and the mindset shift inspired by business and project management. Maybe this episode can be your mini CEO retreat or your first board meeting. But the company we're building, of course, is your life, essentially. So grab your favorite note taker and let's dig in. Welcome to the Solve for Mom podcast. Do you love spending family time together every day but realize that your own interests have fallen to the wayside? Do you have a long list of things you wish to learn but you're so tired from trying to balance it all on your own and frustrated from not planning ahead to make it happen? Have you been mom for so long that you've lost track of who you are as an individual? Hi, I'm Anoki. I'm a PhD biomedical researcher, homeschooling mom, and life coach. I too poured myself into being a mom and thought I had to stop doing the things that I love to do. I was struggling to make time for myself, had lost my sense of direction, and kept second-guessing myself. I wanted to take back control of my purpose and passions. But I kept telling myself there'll be plenty of time for that later. Until I did what was natural to me. Using the methods of a scientist, I created plans to prioritize my values, organize my time, and take action towards my goals. If you're ready to go questing for your purpose, level up your learning, and confidently pursue your passions while still being the awesome mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this complex equation we call life, it's time to sharpen our pencils and our minds and solve for mom. Hi ladies, I know you're here because you really want to get your life together, but it just feels so overwhelming. See, I get it. You know that you need to find more time and plan your days out and get a little more organized so you're on top of things. But you're also thinking, I can't do this because it's going to take forever. It's so complicated and I'm already drowning here, so how am I going to find the time to do more things? Listen guys, let me make this easy for you. I have a free Planning Time to Succeed workshop. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to figure out where your time is really going. We're going to align your time with your goals and actually create more room in your day for things that matter the most to you and the things that bring you joy. I promise you, no expensive planners, no digital apps with multiple logins, definitely no guilt trips for wanting more me time. Just practical step-by-step strategies that fit your life. You don't need to add more to your already full plate. What you need is to learn how to clear off your busy time clutter and make space for what actually matters. So in this workshop, we're going to do a simple time audit together to spot out what's working and what's not. I'm going to teach you how to define your version of success and set up your day to actually move toward it. And you're going to leave with clear next steps and one small action that you can take immediately to see progress. Let's just stop making our lives so much harder than it needs to be. Instead, let's use a plan that's simple, strategic, and actually doable. I would be so honored if you joined me for this live event on Tuesday, March 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the Planning Time to Succeed workshop. Oh, and did I mention there's going to be a fun door prize? Of course, the real prize is that you're going to walk away feeling so much lighter, more confident, and ready to take back control of your days. So it's time to plan for your success. Register now using the link in the show notes and save your seat. I can't wait to hang out with you. I've always been a goal-oriented and driven individual. Early on in my motherhood, my focus still was very much career success as a scientific consultant. I was always working on increasing my mastery and my breadth of expertise. I had been working my way up from a basic analyst all the way up to a senior level. In fact, I became part of the senior staff where the president and CEO would call us in and bounce off ideas and ask us for our guidance in the direction that the company should take. So it was all very exciting to have such a critical role. But there was this other part of me that wasn't fulfilled. I was watching other people raise my older child. I take a lot of pride in my work, so I never say yes to a project that I know I can't deliver on. So I always go above and beyond what's called for. And I really was getting noticed for that. I was known as this person who was always ready to help or who could always figure it out, and people considered me as competent and dependable. So while I was going above and beyond for my work, I just don't think I was doing that for my family. By most people's standards, I was very successful. I was checking all the boxes of what people consider as successful. But I didn't feel successful. And so I made a conscious decision to wind back a bit. I wanted to be able to focus on my family a little more, and it all kind of aligned with the arrival of my next son, as well as making pivots during 2020 as many of us had to do. So being at home was amazing in so many ways, but eventually I did end up falling into this identity crisis and losing my sense of purpose. I had wrapped so much of myself into who I was at work that when I didn't have that as a huge presence in my life, all of a sudden I felt very lost. So the pendulum had kind of swung the other way, I guess. But you see, in all of this, I was really making my decisions based on intuition, which is a good thing to trust yourself like that. But I didn't have a plan. I was really called to be both. I wanted to be a superstar mom, but I also wanted to be a high-performing consultant and scientist. And so then, as the intro of my podcast describes, I started to bring over the systems and mindsets that were working for me at work over into my personal life. And once I clarified my internal focus and desires through planning, I was able to identify my priorities. I was able to start building my life around all of that. That process of life crafting and intentional living and customization was all because of life planning. And that was the moment I realized that my passion was to empower moms to take control of their own lives. How being a mom wasn't an obstacle to their dreams, or that you didn't have to sacrifice your dreams in order to be a good mom. When I started treating my life as a CEO would, prioritizing, planning, and making decisions based on my values, I began to find freedom and joy in both my roles. No more FOMO, mom guilt, or self-doubt. And so that brings me to the question, what if you ran your life like a CEO runs a company? Imagine thriving in your role as a mom, a partner, an individual, while chasing your biggest dreams. Now, there are a lot of comparisons I can make between being a CEO of a company and being the CEO of your home. But today, I want to talk about 5 guiding principles that any CEO would have to oversee in their company. Because these are the exact same principles I want you as a CEO of your life to be using for yourself as well. The first one is that every successful company has a strong brand identity. So what that means to you is that as a CEO of your life, you want to be clear on your personal identity. This is one of the places that life planning really shines. Your quote-unquote company identity is who you are and what you stand for. And I break this up into 2 parts. The first part are your internal drivers. This is stuff like the mission and vision of your life. In fact, some of your favorite companies might even be mission-driven, which means that while there is a financial or profitable aspect to their company, their decisions are actually mostly driven by their mission. Well, I want you to do the same for yourself. And just like a company must know and communicate why they should exist, you should know this too. What is your purpose? What values are central to who you are? As CEO, you lead this effort. Now, you can, of course, rely on other sources of guidance and leadership in your life. That could be your faith or your parents or cultural traditions. But ultimately, you get to decide this. And then your vision is your long-term impact, both personally and professionally. And you really want to keep both of these simple and aligned with your values. And then the second part is more external. Like when we think of branding, we often think about the cherry on top for company products, the visual styles, the colors, as well as the feeling that a company wants to give its customers. Well, you too need to know your preferences, your likes and dislikes and wants. Your mission and values can give you clues to that as well. As a CEO, you will set that tone. And when you do this, you can finally get out of that idea that you might have of yourself that you are just a mom, to seeing yourself as this multi-dimensional person with passions and expertise. It's a really easy place to start. And when you work with me one-on-one, we actually go through a science-inspired self-discovery assessment where you're going to be discovering pretty much all of these things and actually build out your life plan. And how amazing would it be to have this roadmap for yourself? And the second principle is that a successful company needs to know who they are serving. In our lives, our primary customers are typically your family and yourself. Yes, don't forget to include yourself. I know what you're thinking. Wait, I'm the CEO. How can I also be the customer? Okay, think of it this way. What CEO of a successful company do you know that doesn't receive any compensation, no salary or other benefits? I'm not asking you to be super greedy. I think there is a fair way for you to serve yourself that also enhances your effectiveness to lead, to be a mom. If you are doing all the things and sacrificing for others all the time, at some point you will have lost steam and momentum. You're going to stop showing up as your best self. So don't forget yourself. And it goes without saying that family, of course, is an important part of being a mom. Ultimately, these are the people that you share your life with. They are part of your quote-unquote company. They have a stake in it, and undoubtedly they're going to influence it too. And that is why doing something positive for yourself will serve your family as well. I actually have a whole episode on this, so check it out in the show notes. There could be others that you serve as well, and you should think about who those might be. Maybe you volunteer in the community and you really want to make a difference. That could be professionally or in other ways as well. And the third principle is that a company offers products or services. And just like companies have different business lines, your life has key priorities. That could be things like parenting, career, self-care, relationships, home management. As the CEO of your life, you get to prioritize your life based on your mission and vision. You also have to know what your priorities are. Life planning is the key to doing this. It is a very systematic way of identifying, aligning, and taking action on your priorities and goals. If you don't know what your priorities are, you can't meet the demands of your life and you can't address those priorities. And that's what it means to be dropping the balls and going down the road of feeling unsuccessful, which is the very thing that we're trying to avoid. The fourth idea is that successful companies track their financial goals. As your own life CEO, you should also be tracking your goals. When you are clear on your goals, it actually improves your success rate because you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. So what are the goals in your life? And what are the key performance indicators or KPIs for your life goals? And before that, you actually need to know how to develop, set, and follow through on the goals. And now there's lots of ways, but if you want a solid, clear, practical approach, I can teach you all about my goal journey method when you work with me. And the fifth idea is that companies need to grow and scale at the right time. But notice first that I said at the right time. Usually a company first launches with 1 to 2 core products or services, and they're exclusively aligned with their mission. And then over time, they grow their offerings as they grow their reach and customer base. Well, you have to first focus on a small number of non-negotiable priorities. A CEO would literally run their company to the ground if they started with everything under the kitchen sink or launched with all of their ideas from the get-go. They have to be focused. And in the same way, if we moms try to do it all, we're going to end up with burnout and run our energy down to the ground. So to avoid that, you certainly want to think big and think in the future towards your vision and have a growth mindset that there's always room for improvement and that you can always do more or add more or serve better. But at the same time, you have to do that pragmatically and do it in a way that's energy and time efficient, that makes sense with the way that your life is tracking and the season of life that you're in. And that's it. You handled this episode like a boss, and I don't mean it just as a pun. You learned actionable strategies to take control of your life by building systems that empower you to balance your motherhood and your personal growth. We talked about 5 principles that are critical to running a successful company. And so as CEO of your life, these apply to you as well for your own life. They are 1, have a brand identity. You want to clarify your identity by looking internally and defining your mission and vision. and 2, externally, with a cohesive brand that incorporates your preferences and likes and things like that. The second principle is to know your customers, which for you is to balance and serve both your family and yourself, and possibly others if you want to make a difference for other people in your life as well. The third principle is to look at your products and services. For us as moms, that would be to identify your priorities and core needs. You have to make sure that you set up your life in a way that is going to address these priorities and core needs so that you're not spending your time and energy worrying constantly whether everything's going to get done or not. The fourth principle is like a company tracks its financials, you need to set and track your personal goals. And then the fifth principle is to scale intentionally, which is really about avoiding burnout for us. So start today. And this actually is the order that I would probably work on them too. Putting yourself in the shoes of a CEO encourages you to approach life with structure and intention. It provides you with the clarity, which then reduces your decision fatigue. It puts you in control of your life, and every CEO has a roadmap. If you were a company, you would not be trying to do it all without a roadmap. That is what life planning is for you. I also hope that this episode is going to lead you to a life that reflects your true priorities and ambitions. I want you to flourish. I want you also to be able to have a positive impact on your family, to meet all the demands of the priorities in your life, and to have your heart and mind filled with joy. For you to chase meaningful goals, not empty ideas of success that other people have put out there. So with life planning, a CEO mindset, you can authentically serve yourself while keeping family at the core. I believe you can do this. I wish you lots of success. If you want a little bit of a taste of hanging out with me, don't forget to join me on my Planning for Time to Succeed workshop. See the details in the show notes below. I'll see you next week. I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe and tell other ambitious mamas about it. Who knows, you might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. Thank you for making my show a part of your day. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Solve for Mom podcast with Anoki Kapasi.